tribute to the veterans, to the men and women who served in World War II, who designed, built, and flew these aircraft, which we have on display today. This is especially in memory of those after the 9/11 attack, to help us realize and make us more conscious and aware of how fragile freedom is and how vulnerable we are. So these men and women have given us a sense of well-being we have today. We have the P-40 Warhawk, the P-38 Lightning, the P-51 Mustang, the B-25 Mitchell. The museum has also brought some of their aircraft down, the YF-23 Black Widow, the de Havilland Tiger Moth, and the XAT-6E with the Ranger engine.
Despite threatening clouds, a good crowd showed up. The B-25 Bomber and the P-40 Warhawk were big hits. The eastern end of Jack Northorp Field, right here in Hawthorne, was the site of the event. But when the rains came, everybody took it in stride, ducking for cover under the wings of planes. There was no need to evacuate using this old seaplane. We then caught up with Councilman Pablo Catana, who was selling water and soda for the Lions Club, just as the sun came out for his interview.
Earlier, when it rained this morning, I thought that we're going to have a little problem, but considering the weather, it's been a great turnout. Even through the rain, they still stuck around. They were all going under the wings of the planes to keep from getting wet. But I thought it was a great turnout. Now that the sun's out, there's still people coming in here, so the community wants something like this. Maybe this is the first step to trying to get back our airfare. You see all these families here with the little boys, little girls, fathers and mothers, and I think it's a great idea for us to have back our airfare, which was one of the greatest things in this community. Everybody looked forward to it, so hopefully, you know, it's a good start.
Well, this little guy didn't have a lot to say, so we'll let his dad explain.
And I thought it'd be fun for the kids to come out here and just get up close to some of these planes. Okay, unfortunately, they're not like this at home.
Thank you very much.
We're part of the sponsoring the P-51 here for the air show. One of the airmen that is flying it now today is one of the original Tuskegee airmen. So he's one of the original ones from World War II.
Booths were set up inside due to the inclement weather. The Tuskegee airmen and others were on hand to share, reminisce, enlighten, and just tell war stories. We talked to some combat photographers who had some great tales to tell.
It's a very dangerous job. It's a very dangerous job. But we look at it like it's well worth it. We're historians. We'd like to classify ourselves as historians. This is history. When you see this footage on the History Channel or see the pictures in books, and you look at the horrific shots of people getting killed or shot, explosions going off, you don't think about that there's a guy standing there. This is one of our members here. This is Heinz Fritz, who was Hitler's personal photographer. He's one of our members. I think he's about 87 right now. And last I heard that he's still with us, so he hasn't died. This is Bill Clothier. He's the one that filmed the original Memphis Belle movie. He was John Wayne's personal photographer. He shot almost all of John Wayne's movies. He passed away about 6 years ago. The camera he is using is the World War II combat camera that Fairchild invented. The problem is it looked like some kind of a weapon, so the photographers were getting shot pretty quick with that thing, so they threw it away. This is the surrender of the Japanese on board the USS Missouri. And the series of photographs I have below is Hawaii. They've been shown many places as Pearl Harbor, but this is actually Kaneohe, Hawaii. This is the Kaneohe, there's a Marine base now there. And that's Kaneohe on December the 7th, 1941. This item here is a Leica, World War II Leica. It's a Luftwaffe Leica, made for the Luftwaffe. It's a very nice little camera. It's in excellent condition. And we got this from one of our members. Mr. Jerry Cole, who's with us today, he shot most of these pictures of the B-17s. They're shooting right now, Jerry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I didn't get in on your shot. Now, don't you mess with mine. Forget what I said about these shots shot by Jerry Cole, okay?
For about 10 missions, yeah.
So that first mission, what was that like?
Well, as it turned out, on that first mission, I took this particular photograph. And what happened was that I was quite naive at the time. I thought those were German fighters coming up because all of a sudden I saw these contrails going up like that, and I knew they were going to cross, so I waited for that particular moment to take that photograph. And as it turned out, I wasn't even on flying status at the time. And instead of going into London as I normally would, I decided I would fly a mission because not being on combat status, I would have missed the war. So I decided to bootleg myself. So I had all the paraphernalia, and I walked up to one of the planes that I had selected, and just as they started the engines and getting ready to take off, and I said, I'm the photographer, I'm going along. And I probably didn't even get logged on. And I was in extreme trepidation through the whole thing, not because of the combat, but I felt like I shot down, I would have been court-martialed if they ever found out about it. So the thing is that it was very interesting in my first mission, and seeing this particular event take place, because contrails, everybody was photographing contrails because they were very photogenic, but to get it with those planes, as it turned out, they're P-47s, and crossing like that. And I had picked it up when they were down here, and I saw them scribing that arc, and I knew they were going to cross. So I waited for that particular moment to do that.
Upstairs were many more displays of model airplanes, maps, photographs, memorabilia, and other artifacts. Many of the participants came dressed in period uniforms, and seminars were held on various World War II topics.
Changed then to night bombing, and the area stuck with night bombing for the simple reason we couldn't fight our way through in daylight. The aircraft were very vulnerable to attack. The Wellington bomber was really made of cloth, fabric on top of it, but it could take tremendous punishment.
And he cracked up on that island. Nobody was hurt, however. But since I had 4 engines running, and we went down to Palestine after that, why, he knocked on my door one day, or the next day, and said, Lieutenant, he was a colonel, so naturally I said, yes, sir. And he said, I want to ride back with you to Benghazi.
We'll follow the route, and I got to caution you to keep a tight formation, because
on the way back, clear skies. Look for fighters. Protect your 6. On return, bases will be scattered clouds, ceilings 5,000 feet, visibility 10 miles. Good luck.
But apparently 2 of our bombs failed to go. One was hanging by a shackle and the other one was in place. These are 2 500-pounders, and we're at about 28,000 feet. The temperature is 40 to 50 below zero. And there's a great deal of turbulence in the air from the other groups before us, so you can picture the plane is not moving on a steady course. And the pilot calls out, he says, Al, get into Bombay, do what you can. We got to get rid of those bombs. There's a terrific drag on a plane. I can't stay in formation. So immediately I disconnect my heating suit, and I take off my gear, whatever I have, and I leave the intercom behind. I have to disconnect from that. And my parachute has to remain behind because I just can't take anything with me into the Bombay. I've got a job to do there. So without hesitation, I just crawl up through between the piles. The Bombay is open, and I extend my upper torso to the outer edge of the plane where the 2 500-pounders are. One is hanging by a shackle, and I'm working hard, but you know, you don't have the strength at high altitude that you have on the ground. And I also realize, I said, I better be careful to myself. I'm thinking these things. I'm using valuable oxygen. And in a flash, I'm praying to God. I said, please help me get rid of these bombs that fast. The flash thought. And at that moment, the bombs went. At that very moment, I realized I was out of oxygen. Very carefully, I arose from my position, and I was losing strength very fast. And by this time, I already felt the temperature penetrating my clothing. I wasn't trembling, but it was starting to penetrate. I was really feeling it. I got up and I started walking between the main supports in the bomb bay. If you've been in the bomb bay, you know what I'm referring to. I can just barely make it through there, but I know I'm going to fall down on the forward part. I just don't have the strength to make it any further. So I fall down and I put my arms through the catwalk, and I'm thinking to myself, I guess this is the way I'm going to die in combat because of the lack of oxygen. I haven't been hit by a bullet, and I haven't been hit by anti-aircraft, but I'm going to die here and go into sleep because of lack of oxygen. At that very moment, the top engineer reached down. I was close enough. I knew I had to get up to the forward section of the bomb bay, and he connected me with the main supply line, and I just blossomed out. And I came to, and I just rushed up to the nose position and went about my duties.
As the seminars continued, we talked to some young aviation fans outside.
We're looking at these planes over here. We saw it in an ad in the newspaper, and we come down here. It's pretty interesting. We're seeing all kinds of old World War II planes. I saw one of my favorite planes here, and I finally got to see it in real life, so not just on TV.
Which one is that?
I can't remember the name of it.
That jet fighter over there.
Yeah, there's a jet fighter up there that I really like.
What I like out here is all the young families and the kids that are all over the aircraft and the police and the fire, and they're seeing good role models, I think. So hopefully we'll have future pilots and firemen and policemen based on the airfare here. It's been an all-volunteer airport, too, put on by the museum. So I'm very, very proud we have an airport here. I learned to fly when I was 15. Matter of fact, I learned to fly a plane before I drove a car. My dad had a brand new car, and he said, "You ain't going near my car." If I could fly an airplane all I wanted to. So I actually sold in an airplane before I sold in a car. So the helicopter by far is my favorite. Oh, the Black Hawk helicopter. The fire dropper, they call it the Firehawk. Got a big water tank and an impressive helicopter. If I could quit my day job and fly a helicopter, I'd do it in a second.
Your favorite thing today? Has to be the World War II airplanes over there. They're really historical, and to have part of history like that preserved is very important.
2 days before the event, 4 of the planes on display flew into the Jack Northorp field. So let's watch as they landed and listen to some more of the discussions from the seminar.
Future lay with the fact that armies fight enemy armies, navies fight enemy navies, but air forces fight enemy nations. And you can then carry the war right to the homeland and take out the industry and also lower the morale. The casualty rates were very, very high. They sent out a dozen aircraft, and we only had 200 total bombers at the beginning of the war, and we were all pretty well obsolete at the start of the war. And the big 4-engine heavies were coming down the road. The change then to night bombing command to a gentleman called Air Marshal Harris. And Butch Harris was well-trained and well-proven bombing expert. He'd been doing an awful lot of the bombing training and fighting the desert sheiks and the like in the Middle East and in the Indian frontier. So he was quite experienced in that respect. The first thing they had to do was really get navigation from up to a peak where we could find targets. And this developed gradually over the war.
The cloud base is 1,200 feet, visibility 6 miles, cloud tops 6,000 feet. It's going to be clear leaving the boat, en route to the target, light cirrus clouds at 30 plus, clear all the way to the target. You're going to have the usual haze and smoke over the rear, and it's easy to pick out, as the group leader said. He's not a heavy group leader. I wouldn't refer to him. He said it's easy to pick out the railway station by the bridge beyond the cathedral. On the way back, clear skies. Look for fighters. Protect your six.